Good evening. It is June 7th, 2022. It's a Tuesday evening. This is our weekly A Course in Miracles meeting on Tuesday night, 7 to 8 Eastern Daylight Time. And welcome, Holy Son of God, Edward, Holy Son of God, Keith, Holy Son of God, Jeff, Holy Son of God, Nance, Holy Son of God, Angela, Holy Son of God, Leon, Holy Son of God, Sally, Holy Son of God, Susan, Holy Son of God, Siobhan, Holy Son of God, Teresa, Holy Son of God, Corrine. And we invite in, and Holy Son of God, Glenda. Don't leave yourself out when you're doing all this forgiveness work and recognition. We invite in Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, enlightened beings, ascended masters. They're always here, but we invite them in. We call upon them. Help us have insights and have fun in our meeting tonight, and be with us. Be with us. We know you're there, but help calm us so we can get thoughts or hear thoughts from you. Okay, so so let's take a moment of silence. For example, Nance's father has COVID, and let's see what else who else was. Oh, Corinne's partner had knee surgery. But I was just in Aiken, South Carolina, and I stopped and I was, because it was a new area, I just stopped and looked at the houses and realized every house could have suffering. We just don't know, depending on how we look at things. And based on how I used to look at things, I didn't know there was another way to think. And I didn't know there was another way to choose again. So I also, in this moment of silence, it's for all of humanity, all refugees of every nationality, every country, for all universes, all dimensions of time and space, Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, enlightened beings, ascended masters. Use our light, spread our light through all universes, all dimensions of time and space to help our brothers wake up from the dream of separation from the living Tao, the living God. So I'll be quiet here for just a moment. Just focus your attention on that light above your head, the great ray. We'll just join in that light for a moment. And in that light, we recognize that's everything. All humanity looks like they're all out there in little separate bodies, but they're not. They're in that light, in unison, in unity with the living Tao, the living God. We're all in that light together. Thank you to you all for being here. Now, I'm not going to do a song in the background, because I like it that you all email me or message me or text me and say there's something that is working or not working, like Jeff messaged that music happens and you don't hear my voice as I'm guiding the meditation. So the object is for each of you to have your own song of love to help yourselves during meditation. But here in a bit, we're gonna chant. We will chant. And also, what I love about this Buddhist Dzogchen group. Now, see, we welcome in all the masters, enlightened beings, Holy Spirit. See, they call in their deities, all these awakened, enlightened people, the Buddha, and they do that by these chants and prayers that they do before meditation. And I'm just going to pick a couple of these because, like we talked about, these chants have been out there thousands of years with millions of monks, lamas, enlightened beings, and regular folk like us saying them. So there's huge power behind them. So if you want, we'll just meditate for a second. Oh, and Siobhan brought up, she would like me to do a meditation that she could listen to. So I'm thinking next week we'll do an hour of meditation where I do the certain things I like to do, including some Dzogchen chants, etc. And where we're actually in the quiet, and it's be a guided meditation. And then I'll put it on YouTube. So if you want, you can listen back to that whenever you want. Now look, here's Julia. I'm trying to mute her. Yep. Welcome, Holy Son of God. Julia is with us. So, of course, the main thing is to relax. That's one thing I found is great about the breath. The bottom line, I think, in meditation is the breath, being alert and aware of the breath that goes in, comes in, and goes out. So you just take a deep breath in, and on the out breath or exhale, you say ah, A-H. A-H is a seed syllable, and it actually is the call that I understand it from the living God, the living Tao that's unheard, that in the Course it talks about that there's always a call. And that's the call of the living Tao, the living God, for us to wake up, calling us back home. It's silent. I had to turn my fan. It's silent, but it's there. And I've heard it once. And then there is the response from your Christ self, your Buddha self, that's going on in the background. And it's also the word ah, that for me follows my heartbeat. It goes ah, it's in the background. It's a response, a call and response is going on here. So little do you know the power of you taking that breath in and on the exhale, saying ah, and you just relax. And then you take another deep breath in, and on the exhale, saying ah, and just picture the another deep breath in, and on the out breath, saying ah, and you can even shrug your shoulders, shrug your head, just you're wanting your hands, you're just relaxing the form. The form, the body is a symbol of the ego, and it's contracted. That's its purpose. That's ego's purpose. Just keep you all contracted and tense. We're wanting to relax. And then, of course, here in a minute, your attention's going to go to the light, but I'm just going to say some things here which relate to the Course. And I can't chant these things, but I can say their English translation. And the one of them is it's called Pali refuge. And in the Buddhists, the Dzogchen Buddhists, they take refuge, and refuge means to rest, to rest. They rest in the Buddha, and you could translate that to be your Christ self. They rest in the Dharma teaching. The Dharma means truth, but in the Course, it's Jesus's lessons. And they rest in the Sangha. That's this support community that we've developed here with our group. This group is our support. You can, like there's a text group that Nance has set up. If you give her, I forget your phone number, you can join in on this text group. And once we message each other, or we can even call on a meditation where we meditate for 10 minutes. Plus there's this Dzogchen text group, that daily meditation group that I belong to, a text, and any one person can call on a meditation during the day, those short 5-minute or 10-minute meditations. So that's called the Sangha. That's your support community. We support each other. I support you. You can always email me. And in my emails, you got my phone number. You can text me. We're here to help each other. So this says, I take refuge in the enlightened Buddha. I take refuge in the sublime Dharma teaching. I take refuge in the noble Sangha community. See, we're resting in that as we awaken. We're resting in our Christ self, the truths, and our support groups. And then here at the end is, this is the 4 Bodhisattva vows. Sentient beings are numberless. That means all of humanity. And any sentient beings is not just people. It's anything that is got the light with it. We vow to liberate them. See, with you going to the light, even in this meditation, any meditation you do, it helps everybody. That's what's so great about all this. And the next one is delusions are inexhaustible. We vow to transcend them. Well, that's the truth about, that's what Jesus talks about, the clouds, egoic thoughts. Delusions is what the Buddhist Dzogchen people talk about, are inexhaustible. And of course, that's true. Ego just keeps chattering. It doesn't stop. We vow to transcend them. And see, that's what we're wanting to do. We're transcending thoughts, going to the light. Dharma teachings are boundless. See, that's Jesus's teachings. We vow to realize them. That word realize is a big deal. We realize it means we live them. The Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. We vow to embody it. So, yes, and see, the Course says that. The body is an image in the mind. Everything we're looking at out in front of us, really, it's an image in a mind that's been projected, we've projected out in front of us. So the body is really in the mind. So as the mind, you transcend these egoic thoughts, the mind becomes illumined, then the body becomes illumined. And that's why these chakras open up. And then your arc of light's released and the great ray is felt. And the great ray light comes in and goes out. These are experiences. These are not just words that Jesus is talking about in the Course. So just focus your attention above your head to that huge sun that is there that represents source, the light of the living Tao, the living God. And per Jesus in the Course, he says a great ray connects you to eternity. So you've got a great ray coming down through the top of your head, down the middle of your body, and it radiates out every cell. So just tilt your eyes up and you're just looking at that envisioning that invisible light of that ray. You can picture it white or golden yellow, and you're wanting to rest in it. You want to be in it, sit in it, dissolve into it, merge into it. And that's why I like that example of that yellow cake batter. Just pour some yellow cake batter down the top of your head and let it just pour down that column and radiate or extend out every cell. That gives you a little thickness to focus your attention on, a little thickness, and realize that that light, that golden light, that golden cake batter of the living Tao, it's surrounding you. It's in the chair that's holding you up. That surrounds you. Jesus says that light surrounds you. In essence, well, it's us. That light is us and everything. But you want to be able to rest in it, sit in it. And you can use those verbs with yourself as you meditate. Dissolve into it. Like picture you're a little cake batter doll. And what would a little cake batter doll, if you dropped it in cake batter, do? It would dissolve. There would no longer be a doll. There wouldn't be a body. You'd just be the cake batter, the light of the world. That's what you are. So you just rest in that. But what I've found, without meditating 30 minutes to an hour a day, I would not be where I'm at. It's good to do these 5-minute meditations, but you want to work on meditating 30 minutes to an hour a day. So we'll just rest in that light for a minute. And the mind will wander because that's what ego does. And you cannot stop the mind from wandering. And I did not know that years ago, before really this Dzogchen meditation. I was trying to stop thoughts. That's called aversion. It won't work. You just let the thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky, like birds in the sky. And how you know you've not done that is when you stop, you realize you're thinking about who you're going to see tomorrow, or what doctor you're going to call, or how your father's doing, or how your husband or wife are doing, or your children, or your loved ones, your animals. you're all thinking about something. Then you just, no big deal. Just bring your attention back to that invisible light and rest or merge with that light for a second. You're cutting a new highway. You're transcending egoic thought by doing this. It's called the leash of remindfulness. You're just reminding yourself, oh, right now I'm meditating. I can handle and deal with whatever those thoughts are later. Because later we don't ignore or deny anything. We can have solutions to anything. Oh, before I forget, now in your mind, see an altar. And on that altar, put the things you think you need to be happy. Then I want you to just see that altar. It just disappears. And those thoughts into the light. That's what we do. That's a prayer. Because you're not asking for anything. You're just putting these idols, these are false idols, on this altar and turning it over, in essence, to Holy Spirit and your higher Christ self, your higher Buddha self. And then just turn your focus, your attention back to the light. But what will happen while you're watching TV or washing dishes or brushing your teeth, taking a shower, a thought will cross your mind. Or you hear a conversation somebody's having, or music, a song may play. And in any of that stuff could be the solution to whatever you put on that altar. It's that simple. We turn things over, the answers, the Holy Spirit always answers. We just don't always listen, but just relax, don't force it. You're always just relaxing and you're open, you're relaxing to this. Now, when you want, then you just bring your attention back to this place, but you know you can always go to this light. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. Thank you. I much appreciate it. And what I find happening is I just share with you what's happening with me, or I'll ask Holy Spirit, and then whatever happens turns out to be this talk. But see, this talk here tonight is based on how do we live A Course in Miracles? How do we apply these Dzogchen Buddhist truths or whatever other parallel books, podcasts, YouTube videos you're watching or have watched. But what we want to do is we want to stop. We want to really stop in just the reading of it. We want to apply this. We want to practice this. This is the difference between just reading things and intellectualizing something. We want the experience. And the experience of your enlightenment or awakening comes because you are applying A Course in Miracles or the Dzogchen truths. And so and it becomes natural. This becomes the way you live. And so you all experience that. But what I find, it's the way I live. And in this email that I wrote you all, I noticed some things were really looking like they were going south, going bad. But I never was upset. But when I look at it, that's how it would have been in my old self. My old self would have been upset. So here's what happened is I was planning a vacation, a trip to Aiken, South Carolina. I live in Melbourne, Florida. It's about a 7-hour drive once you stop for the gas, the food, and the restroom break. And one way, so it's a 14-hour trip total. And boy, aren't these apps wonderful that you can put in your phone or your car GPS. I used Wazi, I found was really good, but you can pick which ones you want, which route you want to use. And it speaks to you, and that great, and your trip's easier. So I was doing that. But so I was to leave last Wednesday morning after our Tuesday night group. So Tuesday after our group, I was loading some stuff in the car, but I didn't know it till the next morning, but I accidentally left a light on in my car. Oh, Gonzalo's saying, thanking me for my transparency, because, ego didn't want me admitting my errors. Ego doesn't like any of this admitting because he likes the hiding of things or the thought that you've made a mistake. And holds that over your head. So then we unknowingly agree with ego that we've done something wrong and we feel bad and then we have a thought and a feeling and it just cycles. And before you know it, you're upset, irritated, angry. What the hell did I do that for? Well, mistakes, damn, happen. That's all it is. It's part of the script. And there are no accidents. That's the other thing. We can look like we got mistakes going on out here, but really there are no accidents, none. So as soon as that car light, the next day, then Wednesday morning, as I was going to load more stuff in the car, I couldn't get my car door open. It just locked that sucker up. Oh, it was the trunk. One car door was open. The rest were all locked. But immediately I knew I wasn't supposed to leave when I thought I was going to leave. And that was arranged between 9 and 10. Bottom line, I ended up leaving about 10:30 after all this went on. So it wasn't that much off, but I've learned there's different dimensions of time and space, and I want to be in the flow of what Holy Spirit wants me to do. So I'm always being aware of what my mind's saying to come back in, check something before I leave the house. But here was an obvious one. The car wasn't working. So I Googled tow companies, and I didn't even put that in there. So, and I put near me, put my address. Do you know, up came a tow company that's 2.5 miles from me. Come to find out, it's my neighbor at the end of the street. He used to own a towing company, no longer does it, but he says once he got on the internet, he can't get off. So I asked him, who do I use? And he gave me the name of the tow company that's like 4 miles from me. They came to my house within, I don't even know, it was 30 minutes. It wasn't long at all. And all I did, I just kept on packing and laying myself by the car because I own a Toyota Prius and they got to get in the back end of that car and lift up the battery. I have a small battery and a hybrid battery. They needed to jump my small battery. So you can't put stuff in the trunk. But the man arrives and I immediately say, I'm not kidding you. I just immediately said to him, I left the light on in my car. My battery's dead, but I realized there's no accidents. I wasn't supposed to leave when I was supposed to. And he looked at me and he goes, very few people know that. And I just kind of stood there. And he continued to say, because he's a tow company man with his tow truck, some cars he's got to tow, so he ends up with a person in his cab, right? And they'll hit stoplights, and he says most people they're upset because they want to get to the dealership or wherever they're going, and they want to just go. And he says to him, I wrote that in the email. It was something like, you don't get it. You're not supposed to be, you're supposed to be stopped right here, right now to avoid, he knew it, to avoid a future accident or avoid whatever the hell it was. He knew it. And I went, well, and then that's when I proceeded to spout some of Dzogchen Buddhist truths because he believed in the regular Jesus is going to save me guy. So I don't change any of that, but I just tell him that what I realize is that typically me and other people, we have an aversion to problems. We want to push them away, deny them versus just relaxing and realizing there's a flow to things. Things come and they go. And I just simply told him about aversion or attachment, blah, blah, blah. He didn't. So whatever he got from it, he got from it. So then he gets my car started, and I realize I'm going to the Toyota dealership for them, because the time before when they serviced my vehicle, my battery was a little low, and they said I didn't need a new little small battery then, but I figured by this time I need a new small battery. So I got, yes, they did the test and it showed I needed the battery. What I love about that Toyota dealership on US 1, they don't sell me things I don't need, you know, knock on wood. But here's the other thing that I learned from this experience too. The thought had come to me prior to my trip that I needed new windshield wiper blades, but I didn't do anything about it, guys. But after he got my car started, then I drove to the Toyota dealership, and they took my car, and I told them I want new windshield wiper blades. Besides, then they come back and tell me I need a small battery. Because here's the thing, it may sound so simple. You need new windshield wiper blades. But I'm telling you, it was important on my trip, because it rained on me once as I was going. But when I came back, there was a tropical depression in Florida. It hit other areas, not so much Melbourne. But after I hit Jacksonville and was coming south, I'm not kidding, not once, but 3 times, there was so much water that traffic slowed on Interstate 95, 3 lanes, going south and north, to about 45 miles an hour. And one time I saw pieces of ice hitting my windshield, and I went, that's hail. But what I needed was the windshield wiper blades were working. They were taking the water off my windshield. Now, without that, oh my goodness, guys, that would have been a horrific drive, because it wouldn't have worked like it did. So what I'm also wanting to express, we think these are just thoughts. So that's why I have a to-do list. I try to keep track or see when my mind's saying that I need to do something, and I write these things down, because we'll get our to-do list. But I didn't do anything. But thankfully, when the battery's dead, I realized, hold it, I'm going to the dealership, I'm getting new wipers. So there you go. It made my return trip safe. Okay, now what I want to talk about is that it was just conversations where I was able to share about that there's no accidents. It just would come up. For example, when I actually got to Aiken, South Carolina, I shared it with my friend, and he's Buddhist. So then that became like, oh yeah, that's right. But then the lady that owned the B&B, I shared it with her. She kind of got it, but you know, doesn't matter. Whatever they got, they got. Then later that lady left, and there was a man staying in her place there. And somehow it came up with him. He didn't really get it, but that's okay. But then there were 2 women that showed up later to take care of this woman's dog, because she'd gone on a trip. And when I told them about that there's no accidents, that you take a deep breath in and let that breath go out, saying, oh, I actually went that far with them. Do you know, one of these women actually stood there and said to me, she wished she could do something like that she could stop, just damn stop, pause, take a breath in and out, and calm herself and realize there's no accidents, you know. Now, I don't know what she'll do with that, but that's what she told me. And it's not any of our deal to know how Holy Spirit uses any of us. We're just here doing whatever we're doing, right? Okay. Okay. So now the other thing that is important is, as I traveled, I would be aware of where my mind was focusing. What was I focused on? And when my mind was wandering, not alert to being there in the car, traveling on an interstate. That's a dangerous thing. We're driving in a dangerous item. I mean, really. And it's think of it, just being in 3 lanes of traffic and people coming and going and turning, and I mean, being alert in the moment, this moment, only moment, this breath, only breath. So not all the time, but every once in a while, I would take a breath in and out and go, this breath, only breath, this moment, only moment. Help me, Holy Spirit, be in the moment and be alert. And boy, does it make a difference, because then a person's alert to when, before you shift lanes or somebody else going into that lane, or what's going on around you. Well, you know what I'm talking about, because we drive, we're out there and about. And one of our lessons can be this non-reaction and upset about how drivers seem to cut you off or crap happens. So it's another forgiveness opportunity where we're looking past these vehicles to this immortal spirit, this Christ light that is there. Everything is a practice opportunity, but we're not doing so much of that we're not alert in the moment about what's going on to be safe in the illusion. We never ever put our body in harm's way. Being safe in the illusion while remembering this is a dream. I mean, wow. Congratulations if once a day you can realize, hold it, I'm walking around in my own dream. Oh, it's great, isn't it? It's freeing. It's freeing. You wake up in a moment. That's a big deal. To put your awareness behind your head and be aware that your own body is in this dream, walking around with all the other dream figures, as Jesus calls it, all the other dream figures, or the holographic images that are walking around in front of us in our movie. So, and then sometimes I would chant that Om Ah Um Binsa Guru Padme Sidme Hum, and just chant as I went along with the car. Other times I'd listen to music, but I would chant. And let's see, I wrote down because I was trying to keep track. And the thing about the deep breath in and out to calm myself. And real quick, turning my attention, even though my eyes are open, I turn my attention to the light that's above my head. And just, even though you don't actually realize it or see it, I've acknowledged it. And then I will actually out loud thank the living Tao for being there for all of us and not forsaking us. Because remember last week we have that's worth repeating, this whole paragraph in lesson 123, where Jesus actually tells us the things we need to do to acknowledge our Creator. Therefore, we develop a relationship with our source, the living Tao, the living God, because I want to reaffirm, Jesus says what is really the temple to God or the Holy Spirit is a relationship that we develop with Holy Spirit and the living Tao. And that relationship means that we're remembering him, her, the living Tao, the living God, the source, by actually saying, thank you. And these were the things Jesus said. Here's what Jesus said. For not leaving me to myself. Don't you love that? I mean, that just is wild, isn't it? For not leaving me to myself. And who is that self? That small ego self that thinks it's a personality, a role. Now, don't get me wrong, we still got our things to do. In the dream, to keep the dream a happy dream, a flowing dream, where Because if we get off tangent, we're off in the ditch, either on either side of the road. We're not going down the middle of the road, the middle way. Because in the ditch, before you know it, if we're thinking only spiritual thoughts, then we're not taking care of our budget. Welcome, Holy Son of God, Jonna, Jona, Keaton, welcome. Thank you for being here. What we're talking about is lesson 123. As I was driving to Aiken, South Carolina on my trip, I would remember to acknowledge the living God, the living Tao, the living force. Why I call it a force and like calling it the living Tao is because it's a life force. And when I think of God, I don't always think of God, the word God, as a living force moving through everything. Although now more and more I know that. But if you see a breeze running through trees and the leaves, just realize that reflects the living Tao, the living force that's moving through everything. It's invisible. The clear light of the living Tao, the living God, is moving through everything, but we want to acknowledge it. So in lesson 123, Jesus tells us things we can say to the Tao, say to God. Thank you for not leaving me to myself. Thank you for not letting me wander in the dark alone. He gave us Holy Spirit. Woo. Thank you for saving me from the self that I thought I made to take your place. Yep, we made up a false idol, a body, to take his place. Thank you for not abandoning me. Thank you for having your love forever shine on me, forever without change. Yeah, because that light is also love. Love is the glue, is the union that holds all the children of God together in the living Tao of the living God. Love is the glue. Thank you for creating me forever changeless, as are you. Because see, you, your Christ self, your Buddha self, is forever changeless, forever divine. That's why in meditation and in just walking around here, you're becoming aware of, by using your feelings and your mood, to know when you've attached or pushed something away, which is called aversion. That's the whole problem in a nutshell. We attach to things, we like them, love them, or we're averse to it. We push it away. We hate it. We dislike it. We're sorting things, good and bad. I like it. I dislike it. I hate it. I love it. That's called attachment and aversion. And how I know I've done it is when I start to feel irritated, upset, and then I look at my feeling and I go, oh, what was I thinking? And I realize I picture like a rope or mila beads. So every one of those little tiny beads can be a thought. I've attached to a thought that went through my mind, or an image, which really is a thought in your mind, but it's projected out in front of you. But we attach to an image, we attach to a thought, and we hang on to it. But it doesn't mean that we can't have thoughts come and go and be guided by our thoughts, like to go do our wellness visit with our doctor, if you believe in that, take your vitamin if you believe in that. But while we're doing these things, we're practicing that we're not a body, we are free because we're still as God created us. But we still live a regular life, never ever putting the body in harm's way. And I want to reiterate, if you ever need to call 911, you damn do it. Because you are never ever to be psychologically abused or physically abused or anyone else. But later you practice advanced forgiveness on whatever happened. And Holy Spirit will have you continue to do that, because that's a traumatic experience then. But you can bet if something like that occurs, that incident represents the thousands of lifetimes you've had where a similar incident has occurred, but it's all been buried in your unconscious mind. And only Holy Spirit can get to your unconscious mind where that unconscious guilt is. And that guilt is that we think we separated from God or the living Tao. We did something wrong and God's out to get us, because that's what ego says to us, that God's a vengeful God. He's remembering this. and he'll get even for us leaving the Garden of Eden. Huh. And ego just keeps saying things in the unconscious mind. You don't know they're being said, they're stored there. But as you practice advanced forgiveness, meaning on the things that show up in front of your face, you look at things past the body, past the flesh, to the spirit that's there, the clear invisible light. So at this moment, that reminds me, pick 3 people on the screen and let's practice this type of Jesus's advanced forgiveness. It's so simple, but we forget to do it. Just look past a person on the screen, and you're looking past, like I'm looking at Keith, look past their form to what looks like space or clear space. That really is clear light. That is God Tao light right there. You're looking past the form to the light that's there, and remember, that's what the person is. It's that simple. And you can either say all of it, 3 simple words, all of it, or in that 4-page forgiveness document I have, if you don't have it, you can just private message me on Facebook and I will email it to you. I can post it from the Course and Gary Renard's books, because the Course doesn't, Jesus in that 2-inch thick book, after you find out what his advanced forgiveness is, then you see it all the time, where he says, look past the form. But I didn't get it through my first readings. I didn't get it from 2004 to 2014, 10 years. I practiced the Course and not one teacher ever told me what advanced forgiveness was. But like I said, I wasn't ready for it, or I would have learned it. But you guys are ready for it, or you wouldn't be here. And whoever's listened to the YouTube videos, you're ready for it. But advanced forgiveness means we look past the body to the invisible spirit, the light that's there. And you can say, you are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent, all is forgiven and released. Or all of it, to 3 people on the screen. And to yourself, you could say all of it, or I am immortal spirit. This body is a false image and has nothing to do with what I am. And like I've explained, I didn't believe any of this. I didn't believe anybody was a spirit, because damn, they're a body. You punch them or you prick them with a pin, they'll bleed. Well, that's, of course, the way it is in the ego world, in the false world. But what I learned was I rotely said these sentences because I had absolute faith that Jesus knew what the hell he was talking about in the Course. Now, see, these Dzogchen Buddhist people, they know what they're talking about too, because they're saying phrases and prayers to have a person look past the image of the body to the Buddha, the higher natural self that's there, the great perfection that's there. So we forget to do it. So just put sticky notes around. And to reiterate, as you do your forgiveness work, then Holy Spirit goes into the unconscious mind and heals the unconscious guilt and these judgments or karma that have accumulated from our thousands of lifetimes. You cannot get to that stuff. It's all one big mind. As you think of your brother, you think of yourself. And it's just knee-jerk that we do these judgments of sorting good and bad. We like or dislike, we hate or we love. But the purpose of the Course and the Buddhist Dzogchen truths is, can you love the things you hate? Write that down somewhere in your journal. And ask yourself, can I love the things you hate? If you're like me, I wouldn't admit that I hated anything. I was above that deal. But how I knew it was true, I got irritated when that Lama Surya Das would bring that up. Can you love the things you hate? And I would read it in some of these Dzogchen books. Well, I finally said, Holy Spirit, help me. That's the bottom line. Holy Spirit, help me. Help me see the things I hate. And he gave me a list. And some were politicians, some were insects, some were whatever it is. There's no rhyme or reason to what we hate, but it happens. So then I would say, I love you. I love you. I'm not kidding you. I just said, I love you. I love you to that politician. I love you. Like Putin. I added Putin to the list later. I love you, Putin. I love you, Putin. I love you, Putin. I'm not kidding you. Rotely say these things. That's why the lessons in A Course in Miracles are so great. We don't believe these lessons, but you do them because ultimately Jesus calls it unlearning, undoing these thoughts of separation from your brother, yourself, and God. So you just rotely say that, and I'm here to swear that you will ultimately love all the things you hated, because it's the way it goes. As you say you love something, Holy Spirit works with you, works with these unconscious thoughts. It's a team effort. And you will love these things because denial makes projection. We deny these things, deny we're separate from God, deny we're a body. That just keeps ego going. It just keeps him going. We just bring darkness to the light. That's why these thoughts after meditation, I'll sit sometimes with a paper and I'll remember thoughts that came to mind, that came and I would let come and go. Those thoughts then were of images of people, my family typically, politicians. Because see, we love our family, our sisters, our brothers, our children, our partners, our parents, all our friends, our neighbors, our loved ones. So we forget to practice on them. Nowhere in A Course in Miracles does Jesus say you're only to practice advanced forgiveness on the things you hate. But I'm out asking you to admit to yourself what you hate, but also practice on all the things you love, because that's part of loving and hating. That's duality. Because we're going to go beyond that to this light, this divine love that we are and have for our relatives, and thinking of them as spirit and divine love and light, not their bodies. So it builds on itself because you're really practicing on what shows up in front of your face. So after meditation, I'll practice on the things that showed up. And then the other thing, at the end of the day, I'll try to look back on my day and think about who was I around and bring up those images and practice on them. And several times when the great ray downloads comes in and goes out, I'm just there. I just am relaxed and calm. The light comes in, the light goes out. But as that happens, Holy Spirit brings images. And several times he's had my whole lifetime pass through my mind. I'm not kidding you. Before you know it, there's 100 images, but after each one of them, I would say you are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent, all is forgiven and released. And see, all silently, this goes real fast because you think about it, your childhood, your parents, all your siblings, your neighbors, your friends, your school teachers, if you went to college, your high school, at your first job, your second job, your third job, all your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your partners. I mean, all of them, we believe they were bodies and it was real. That's why to let go of the person you used to be, part of that process is to let go of all these thoughts of these people that have been in your dream, in your script. Besides that, you're letting go that you think you're a body, that you're a flesh, but your spirit, your light. It's an ongoing process. And that's what's so great about this practicing on my trip here. Now let's make sure. So I gotta remember here. So it wasn't enough, guys, that my car wouldn't work when I was going on the trip. Picture, I had a new battery. I didn't drive my car for 5 days when I was in Aiken, South Carolina. My friend had a car. So when I went to get in my car yesterday, Monday, to finish packing it and to drive, do you know the same thing happened? I could not get in my car. I'm telling you, I will pull on that door handle. Because see, my fob, you usually just stand by the car, open the door. It didn't open. I went, well, here we go again. I'm not supposed to leave when I thought. Oh my goodness. So I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. So the thing is, you never know. You go with the flow. So then I called my friend, and I'd forgotten the module has a little key in the side of it. And so we got the key out, opened the car door up, then got in there and poked around and got the trunk open, but then Googled a local tow company, had it, and then within 15 minutes, they were out there and jump started my battery again. and then my bags were all sitting there. They put the bags in my car, had my GPS, my Wazi all lined up, took a few deep breaths, and off I went. It was driving. So picture as I'm driving, I'd never really thought about, because I was told as you drive, the battery charges, and I knew I had a new battery. So I felt comfortable heading out to come home. But when I stopped in Brunswick, Georgia, I have to admit, when I turned the car off, I thought, well, maybe this car will start. Maybe it won't. So I just went inside, went to the restroom, got me some food. Let's see, got gas, put gas in my car. And then my car punched the button to see it started. But I was ready, honest. See, part of the flow of all of this is there's a solution to everything. Now, when we hurt ourselves, we go to the hospital, and that solution's a little more difficult, right? If we actually hurt ourselves. So that's why, we want to be alert and careful when we're out walking around, and when you're using, equipment, heavy equipment, or a lawnmower, or a weed whacker, or I used to have a gas-powered hedge trimmer, and you're careful as you're moving that hedge trimmer, you don't want to wham your leg. I mean, all of this is being alert in the moment about what the dream that we're in. But then things happen that stop that seem to stop the flow. Well, instead of resisting, pushing on it, being upset, the aversion thing, that's why you're learning to use your feelings, and you get back off of that. You step back in your mind. Just take that deep breath in and exhale, saying, and relax yourself. Remind yourself, I can relax. Okay, now what's going on here? Holy Spirit, help me. Call on all the enlightened beings. Always, Jesus, Buddha, call on them all. Help me. And then if you can, you just pause. If you can walk away from the situation just a tad and just relax a little bit, then solutions will start to show up, what you're to do or what you're to say, right? But yet you come off that bit of being irritated and upset, because that constriction was not going to help anything, right? The pausing part. So to me, what I really confirmed on this trip was that the flow of this script, it can look good or it can look bad. We don't know. Now, in this spiritual world, people think, oh, la-di-da, it's all going to be happy. Well, I don't think that's true, because look what happened to Jesus there. It didn't look too good, but he was there for his, show. He wasn't the body. But the thing is, there's things come and go. Could be you're going to have a perfect life, but I wouldn't count on it. Things are good, things are bad. And the thing is, this is an impermanent form. So it's going to die. That's why I go, this breath, only breath, this moment, only moment. I use my breath to get me into the moment. And then in that moment, I'm aware. Then you can even take your finger, feel your heartbeat in your pulse, in your hand. If sometimes you can feel it on your forehead or by your ear. Remind yourself it's a heartbeat. This heartbeat, only heartbeat. This breath, only breath. This moment, and that'll get you into the moment. Only moment, this moment. Because in the next moment, folks, let's be real, the body's dead. It can be dead in a heartbeat. We don't know. That's the point of all of this. So just practice what you can, when you can, because you're wanting to awaken from the dream of separation to to be able to have that light radiate out of you, just be the light that Jesus says we are. That's our goal, to recognize and be aware that we're that light. But even when you're awakened, the dream and the script in front of you, things will come and go. Your loved one, somebody's going to die. Somebody's going to be born. It just, things rust. Cars need repair. Buildings crumble. Earthquakes happen. Hurricanes occur. But if you're in that part of alignment with your higher Christ self, your higher Buddha self, that you can relax into that, you might be more aware of thoughts or things that are being said that are solutions that can help you live go with the flow better. That's the thing. We're dancing with this life. We're going with the flow of this life without attachment and aversion. Now, easier said than done, but we are practicing this, you guys, and we don't beat ourselves up if we forget. Then you just take a deep breath back in, remind yourself who the hell you are, who your brothers are, who your family are, and ask Holy Spirit to guide you. And you're back out in the dream again, walking around. And then once in a while you remember, oh yeah, I'm in the dream. Most of the time I'm not remembering I'm in a dream. I have to stop and remind myself, Glenda's walking around in the dream. And you can enjoy food, alcohol, sex. It doesn't matter. Swimming in the pool, in a waterfall, traveling, vacations. But while you're doing it, you're aware, you're practicing this advanced forgiveness from A Course in Miracles, turning things over to Holy Spirit, or even if you want to call it your higher Christ self, your higher Buddha nature, and meditating for 30 minutes to an hour a day. Because without meditation, I wanted to remember to say this. I was talking prior to the recording. I'm reading in that book, continuing that book of Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. And in it, that Dzogchen Rinpoche talks about the purpose of meditation is for you to be aware of the pause between thoughts. Excuse me, there's a pause between the thoughts. And as you meditate and you let those thoughts, come and go, and as you're resting that form in that chair, that body, and you're elevating your eyes, your vision to the light, and you're resting in the light more and a holy instant than 3 or 4 holy seconds instants. What happens is you are developing a stillness, a greater pause between the thoughts, till finally you only got stillness in your mind. That's where you're headed. And I have found I didn't have that stillness, complete stillness, until I got a whole help in with this meditation of mastering the mind and calming this form to focus my attention in the Christ mind, the Buddha mind, the living Tao light. That's the purpose of meditation, is that pause gets so big, you only have the pause, the stillness, the quiet. And in that, when you're meditating, you'll see all the colored lights of your chakras. Then it'll be clear light in your mind. It'll be clear black light in your mind. Because in essence, black light contains all the colors too. Besides that white light contains all the colors. People don't realize that black light contains all light too. Now, in the egoic world, that darkness is a different thing. But I'm talking about in the awakened mind, that clear black light. That clear light, it shows a black that's glossy, a sheen, a luminosity. That's just, natural, great perfection. But anyway, that's where you're going in your mind. That mind, your Christ Buddha mind, into stillness. Okay. So to reiterate, you want to practice this when you're on vacations, taking a trip, even driving to the grocery store. These are all chances, staying when you're at home, walking in your out looking at your flowers, reminding yourself, what is real, what is true, what is definitely true. Now, one final thought did come to me, and so I'm going to include it, is when I was driving, and even in North Carolina, it came that I talked about above the battleground. Now, see, I have no intention to do anything. I'm just in the flow in these thoughts. But the above the battleground, that happened in 2018. I was flying to Toronto, Canada from Orlando, Florida. It was an early morning flight. And I happened to see, now again, heck, I didn't plan this. I was on the right side of the plane. So on the east, so I'm on my east side. When you open the visor up, there's the sun coming up. So I opened the visor and I looked out, and there was this huge sun. Wait, I need to preface this. Before that trip, I'd been studying the Course and had been reading about above the battleground, but I could not figure it out. So I asked Holy Spirit, you got to help me with this. I just say stuff like that to him. You got to help me with this. I do not get this. What is above the battleground? And I just let it go. And so I'm sitting in the airplane. I look out the visor, and to my right, the sun is coming up. And it's a huge, the most beautiful, huge sun I'd ever seen. I've talked about this before. And below it are these fluffy white clouds, just all kinds of them, a layer of them below the sun. And I thought to myself, well, isn't that beautiful? Because it was beautiful. But I closed the visor because the sun was coming in and bothering people. When I got to my bed and breakfast there in Toronto, Canada, I was going to a Gary Renard workshop. That's why I went there. And I'd never been to Toronto. I thought it'd be a nice vacation. I was in the B&B. I was setting up my laptop. As I was putting up the laptop, the thought, I'm not kidding you, the thought came, the sun is representative of the source, the sun that you saw. The clouds are egoic thoughts. You get above the clouds to the sun. So above the battleground, it's that simple, and Jesus talks about clouds. And he even says, well, just take your hand and push the clouds away to see the sun. Now, what better explanation of what I'm just describing to you? There's always the huge sun. That's why I have you picture it above your head with the great ray coming off of it, coming down your head, because that's symbolic and representative of what's actually occurring. But anyway, so in the mind, when the great ray's coming through, in the mind, though, there's the cloud of all the egoic thoughts. It's a layer of egoic thoughts that you're in this in that lesson 123, Jesus used the word transcending. See, you ascend. You are ascending above these egoic thoughts. You're transcending. You're rising above the battleground. Every time you guys go to the light and picture that ray of light and the sun above your head, it's so huge. It's so huge. You don't have any idea. You have just really cut a super groove of awakening in your mind. It's huge. So above the battleground is what you're doing in this meditation. And thank you to Shabon. Next week, we're going to do a meditation for the whole hour. In it, you're going to rest in the light for off and on that 30-minute time. Now, the mind's going to wander and you're going to be irritated. And you may need to stand up once in a while, but get yourself back in that chair and you'll sit that body down, and then you align your spine like a mountain, and it's an alignment thing. Your breath is really the breath. You can picture even the great ray comes straight down right through the middle of you. It's an alignment feature for me. It runs straight down. But anyway, so next week we'll do that. That way you can use that YouTube video more to do whatever you want. Maybe you want to meditate for 30 minutes or 20 minutes. But next week we're going to be doing the whole hour thing. And I'll also incorporate the paragraph of meditation that Jesus has in the Course. See, besides above the battleground, the one that I practice for, let me think, 2014 till March of 2019, that's 5 years about, was this paragraph, which is harder to do than what I'm having you do with the Great Ray now. Because in that paragraph with that's in the Course, Jesus talks about that the arc of light is imprisoned, and you see the arc of light, the light, an arc, picture an arc. It's like you take a little pencil and draw a little arc. Well, that's nothing. It's just teeny tiny little 1/16 of an inch of a little arc of light is what's left. It's imprisoned in the onion, hidden by all these layers of judgment. But anyway, that arc of light, it expands to fill a circle. And he says the circle, that the light extends past the circle to infinity. And I would try to imagine doing that for 5 years. But you can do either one of these. We'll probably do both of them next week. You can use whichever one you. And when you meditate with, pick some groups and use their form of meditation. What I have found when you mix it up, it strengthens you, because you're looking for all kinds of angles to get so you can meditate, that you can control the mind, that you can focus your attention, be master of your mind. Okay. Well, now anyone have a comment or thought before I stop the recording tonight, and then we get to chat? I want to welcome in Holy Son of God, Lana, Lana, joined us later. Let's see who else. And of course everybody else. Let's do a final forgiveness thing, because a couple people landed here after we did this. Jesus's advanced forgiveness, or true forgiveness in A Course in Miracles, is that we look past the form to the invisible light of spirit and love that's here now. Looks like, if you look past any form on the screen, looks like that clear, that space or just air, but that is the really clear light of God, the living Tao that's here now, and it's radiating out every cell of your body. So pick 3 people on the screen and just look past their form, and you say all of it, or you are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent, all is forgiven and released. And what I do, I just look past their body. I look past it to the light, and I focus on that light, saying, you are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent, all is forgiven and released. And to yourself say, oh, but wait, all is forgiven. So you are spirit. It's huge. We don't believe we're spirits, but boy, it's huge. You will ultimately. You are spirit, whole, W-H-O-L-E, whole, pure, P-U-R-E. You never had an impure thought. And innocent. You're innocent. You've never had a hateful thought, an unloving thought. All is forgiven and released. Release means we're releasing our brothers, ourselves, from the body. It's huge. And see, you don't have to understand all those words, all those sentences, but just rotely say them, and ultimately you will believe this. And to yourself, you can say all of it, or I am immortal spirit. This body is a false image and has nothing to do with what I am. Okay, way to go, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, anyone got a comment or something you want to share before I turn off the recording? Because people like to hear you guys sharing. Okay, Gonzalo, hi.
Hey, thanks again. Yeah, and again, thanks again for the emphasis on being disciplined with your practice, because that's the only way we truly believe it. Like you said, in all honesty, when we pick up the book or when we do the course for quite a while, we don't really believe it. We might want to believe it. And I know I was really excited about the course in the beginning, but it was more intrigue. It wasn't true understanding until you had the experience. So again, we're all here to save each other time. And it's so, so important that we if we're called to do this, that we realize that we have to be disciplined and committed to applying this with whatever shows up in our minds and in the world visually, and not make excuses for, okay, I don't really feel like doing it. Of course, we don't feel like doing it sometimes, but the ego attachments are too strong. The grievances, the victimhood, the blame, it's so strong, so we're not going to believe it at first, and we don't really want to, but that's not the important thing. The important is the willingness to just practice through, even if it feels like BS, to just, because that trains our mind back to the original state. And that's the important thing. And as you were saying, so many course groups for so long, they get hung up on the theory and the concepts and the routine and how the structure of the group. And that's totally not the point. I get there's some practical, measures to try to keep the group moving. But at the same time, when we spend so much time on trying to define and trying to intellectualize things, we stay stuck. We're right in the ego trap. I've been in so many course groups that are so ego traps because we can't get out of our own attempt at intellectualizing and trying to make it understandable. We're not going to understand anything until we have the experience. And how do we have the experience? Do the mind training without compromise. And that's so important. The day-to-day stuff that you describe with your car, which I know very well, having an old truck as old as it is, I know that story so well. That's where, you're sweating bullets out in the 100-degree heat, stuck on the side of the road, pushing your car in the rain. That's where you want to apply. You don't want to just apply when you're sitting on an ashram in the air conditioning, where you're feeling really comfortable. Ooh, I feel really spiritual. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is to apply it when you're sitting down, feeling comfortable in the AC, and when you're sweating your ass off in 100 when you don't feel like practicing. That is the point. And we need to get that when we're pissed off, when we're holding grievances, when we're falling in love, when we feel really light and joyful. We always want to take every emotion back to the light of God for turning it over. That's the only way we truly get to know. It doesn't come by in a lecture, trying to make sense, trying to define terms. No. The words are just the intro to point us to the truth. We have to do the practice and the willingness to be consistent and disciplined with it.
Oh, thanks, Gonzalo, because I forgot that part. Just reread the introduction to the workbook in A Course in Miracles. Jesus says it. You don't have to understand anything. The purpose of the course is not understanding. It's to change false perception to true perception, which means that you're changing from believing you're a body to a spirit. We don't have to understand anything. And ego will do that when you're reading, wanting you to understand. You just keep on reading. Something will touch your heart and you'll get it instantly. And you just keep on reading because it's the experience we're going for. Jesus says that we're going to block. We're wanting to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And that is this light that you see, because love's presence, how can you see that? Or well, sometimes you'll feel more loving because love is the only thing that really will continue any loving feeling we have. But that light is love, that invisible light or that spirit that you're looking past the form. That's love. That's removing blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your Christ self, your Buddha self. Isn't that beautiful? Oh yeah, because I didn't get that. Yeah, you just rotely say these things. You have blind faith, and I'm an example. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I just hung in there. I just kept the hell doing it. Now, when I look, I didn't realize 5 years was going by, 2014 to 2019. But you just do the best you can. But I think because I've got a straighter path, it won't take you guys 5 years. I'm here, like Gonzalo said, to help you save time. That's my purpose. Give you some more cut stuff, because that whole 2-inch thick book, I forget the lesson. It's in that 4-page forgiveness document I had. That Jesus, there's one of those lessons. He says the answer, and it's 3 times. He says the answer is forgiveness with an exclamation mark. So he could have written that whole big 2-inch thick book and given us a couple of pages of forgiveness information. But how important would we think that was? Oh, hell, I doubt. I mean, who's going to do 2 pages, right? But, you know, it takes you through the 4-page, the 2-inch thick book. But forgiveness is the answer. And it's 3 times he says that. The means of the atonement is forgiveness. That's in the introduction to the course in 1. And then let me see if I can find that. I hope I put that in here. Christ's vision has one law. That's workbook 158. Just reaffirm this. It does not look upon a body and mistake it for the Son whom God created. Listen here, it's why I'm what I'm trying to teach. It beholds a light beyond the body, an idea beyond what can be touched, purity undimmed by errors, pitiful mistakes, and fearful thoughts of guilt. It sees no separation, and it looks on everyone, on every circumstance, all happenings, and all events without the slightest fading of the light it sees. You see, that's why you're practicing, looking past this form to that invisible light and air. But I won't hold you up. Somewhere there's, so advanced forgiveness is huge. But that also the whole course is, in reality, those lessons is meditation. He has you, well, just sit with that, close your eyes and see what thoughts come to mind, or just be with that. He'll have you. I mean, that's meditation. But I'm just wanting you to do meditation in 30 minutes or an hour segment. Now, Angela's got her hand up. Angela, what else have you got, cutie?
I just want to thank you, Glenda, also for your practicality and how you are able to apply the course in daily living. And the advanced forgiveness has been helpful to me. As you presented all of it, I just recently had something I had to negotiate with my partner, and it was possible. But because I used the advanced forgiveness while I was negotiating with him, it didn't become an argument. There was like a miracle in that particular. There was a win-win both ways. Let's just put it that way. So I was pretty proud of. So thank you for those.
See, you're in the flow of your life, applying the, Angela, thank you so much. See, you're applying it. That's the that's what we want to do.
Thank you so much for those tips. And can I just read you, because what Gonzalo said about the willingness. I just synchronicity. I just so happened to open this on the course. And if you don't mind, if I could just read this.
Oh, yes, please. And where are you reading from? So I'll write it down too.
Well, I'm on chapter 18, page 381.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was so good to what you shared with us about your events as you were traveling. And if I could just read this part.
Mm-hmm. Please.
So it says, I who am host to God am worthy of him. He who established his dwelling place in me created it as he would have it be. It is not needful that I make it ready for him, but that I do not interfere with his plan to restore me by my own awareness of my readiness, which is eternal. I need add nothing to his plan. But to receive it, I must be willing not to substitute my own in place of it. So I thought of you, let that flow when those incidents were taking place. You didn't change his plan. You went with spirit. And it's so nice to be able to not be upset. You know what? I don't know what that. We are never really upset for what we really think we are upset for. And that was so cool. And I just thought it was just funny. I was right at that page.
Oh, and thank you. Because that explains it. Now, if there's that last sentence, it's we don't change the plan. He's got the plan. Oh, did we lose Angela? Oh, no, there's Angela. Read that last part, Angela, just a second, a little more about don't change the plan, be with the plan or something.
Yeah, he says here, I need add nothing to the plan,
Need to add nothing.
but to receive it, I must be willing not to substitute my own in place of it.
Wow.
So you didn't change anything what was going to happen. You didn't get excited and say, well, you know, you allowed this time play should be at a different time that I must be going. You just went with the flow, and that was the plan, whatever that outcome was. So
Wow.
that was, you had willingness to go without being totally upset about it. And it just, you know, it's so beautiful because, you know, I think I can get anxiety about something because there's a control part of me that wants to change that, fix that situation. And then I have to, you know, like, and remind myself. And so reality and the breath is so important.
Ooh, the breath is. Now, oh, this is so good for you and Gonzalo to talk about all this. See, the thing is, this willingness, it develops as you trust more and relax and apply, because it's just normal to be the type A, because I was a type A personality. That was it in business and things. And that's the crux of wanting things permanent. We don't want to change because the whole world is all it is change, impermanence, because it's going to die. That's the duality of it. But in our personalities and our culture, we're taught to control and try to fix things. Now, granted, we want to plan, and I don't want, you know, if we can have a solution to, yeah, you go get your, you know, car repaired, then you're not, you know, you maybe not have be stuck out on the freeway. Don't know, you know, you do the best you can. But the bottom line is we resist change because we don't like it. It's horrible. Impermanence, the flow of the battery not working. It's just horrible, right? So, oh my. So it's not just you, Angela. It's people don't want to admit it, but who likes change? Before you're aware that that's duality. That's letting things come and go, letting things just be. Without, but again, we call 911. We never put our body in harm's way. Never, ever, ever, ever. But it's learning to let things come and go and just be. Wow. It's a process. So you all just do the best you can, and you're getting a feel for it. I can tell you all are. So yay, this is huge. Thank you. Congratulations, each one of you. I appreciate you all so much. And I love being here on a Tuesday night with you all. Thank you for coming out, spending your time here, sharing. So any other remarks before I stop the recording? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. Where am I?